All right, wait. I got so
Yeah.
many comments once again. What about Ahsoka episode 4? Great stuff. I'm very excited for the future of Ahsoka. Oh, what do I have to say about Ahsoka? So this episode of Ahsoka was definitely the best one. I am the most eager. I guess I am most eager to find out what's going to happen with Balin, because he said a bunch of interesting stuff this episode about the basically the cycle of how there were Jedi's, and then there were the Empire, then there's going to be the New Republic now, and then there's going to be like the First Order, and I'm like, how does he intend to stop this? You know, like what does it even mean? What is he saying? So all that stuff was interesting. Seeing Thrawn was really great. Also, I should say I'm going to spoil all of Ahsoka, but yeah, Thrawn's entrance was really good. It was worth the wait, I guess. I was kind of expecting that they were going to put it at the end of the season or something, like right at the end, it'd be like, oh, we finally arrived on this planet, and here's Thrawn, the final scene, we see his face or something. But nope, he showed up, he had his grand entrance with his entire crew of stormtroopers, which kind of makes sense, because there were a bunch of people on that ship when he arrived. But for some reason, I just wasn't expecting that, but it was great. The fact that the planet is like a Night Sister planet, I thought was really cool. Just the fact that when you're watching, at least when I was watching the Clone Wars, I found the Night Sisters to be a really interesting mystery box, I guess. Purely because when you first meet them, they're doing this like crazy kind of magic, and you're thinking like, is this to do with the Force? And I think later on they like confirm, oh, there's many ways to wield the Force, and the Night Sisters use like a certain type of way. Or maybe that's just me from listening to like Dave Filoni interviews or something. I don't know if I'm mixing that up, but I always wondered, like, where did they come from? What's like their history? I know there's this comic where like Mother Talzin versus Palpatine, and they're like pretty equally matched. And here, I think Palpatine has to use Maul to help him out or something. And I'm like, oh my god, these Night Sisters are like crazy powerful. And now we have we have like 3 of them in the grandmothers or whatever on this new galaxy planet. So it's crazy. So great mystery box in Clone Wars. Now getting a bit more answers in Ahsoka. So that's like a really cool thing, I guess. Essentially, geez, I have like a massive scratch on my screen. Yeah, this episode was great. So much stuff. Now, the main issue with this episode, which is about how like we're in another galaxy, but there's nothing there's nothing, if you were to show this episode to a Star Wars fan, nothing would indicate that this is another galaxy. And you might be thinking, oh my god, this is crazy. Like there's like, the atmosphere is like thick, and there's these Night Sisters, and it's like abandoned, and it's like so far away from everything else. Like obviously it's in another galaxy. But then I remember in Rebels when they went to whatever that Sith planet was, like Malachor, I think, or something like that. I don't know. And that was crazy. That looked even crazier than our current planet that we're on, in another galaxy. So it's like nothing here indicates that this has to be in another galaxy, which is very disappointing. Like there's even these random bandits and stuff that attack Sabine, and it's just like, this is just like another planet in the Star Wars universe, which is like pretty disappointing. So I don't know. Shaw was a choice. Oh, there we go. Assumably Sabine was involved in that. Shaw was a choice to make Sabine so unlikable for the, entire show. Going to be such a waste of time when we have, Jesus, have the conflict next episode of Ezra finding out she helped free Thrawn. Yeah, I agree. That was very frustrating at the end of this episode where she doesn't say it, and I'm like, god, we're gonna have to do that next episode. Maybe Ezra will turn her away, and that'll make Sabine use the Force in rage and sadness. Maybe Ezra will turn her away. Yeah, it could be interesting. Maybe. I feel like the most likely scenario is that Ezra will find out that, I guess she'll tell him or something, that, or maybe he'll find out incidentally that Thrawn is back, and Thrawn is going to go back because of Sabine, and the expectation is that you think he'll be angry, and all his sacrifice is undone, but he's been more Jedi-like than we expected, and he's matured, and he's reflected, and he has a moment where he's like, Sabine, I understand your pain, thank you for coming for me, but we need to do something about this, or something. Maybe he'll be reasonable, and that will be the interesting growth of Ezra here. All right, we did it. Star Wars. What a series. I am excited for the last 2 episodes of Ahsoka, because there is potential for them to do something good. However, there is also potential for them to do something bad, so we'll see. Ahsoka. There was an episode of Ahsoka today. It was the first one that I would universally say I did not like, and it was not good. I wonder if that's the sentiment. I have no idea. I know Miller liked it, or generally he thought it was pretty good. Um, 8.3. Looks like people liked it just as much as the previous one. How many votes? Oh, it says it there, 2.3k. Yeah, so this was immediately from the first scene where you see that they're no longer in that new area. I'll try to keep spoilers minimum. It's like, really? After the grand journey we made, we're going to go back to the old place, you know, that we were before. We're going to have scenes here. How boring. And then we got this amazing title. It like dropped the title after that first scene. It's like Part 7, Dreams and Madness. And I was like, oh my god, that's what Balin said last time. We're in a world of dreams and madness, or a place of dreams and madness or something. So I thought there was going to be some really cool, interesting Balin stuff, or some cool stuff on this new location they're at. But no, we got none of it. All we did was, you know, rehash the same stuff we've done a million times in Star Wars in this place that we're meant to be actually exploring new ideas, you know. We got we got some chases in the in space. Crazy. That's never happened before. We got some fights between stormtroopers and other people with like lightsabers and blasters. Oh my god, crazy. But the difference is we're on a new place. You know, that's what's so novel about it. Isn't that crazy? So boring. Jesus Christ. Thrawn did his like classic thing he always does, which is that he comes up with a plan and the plan fails, but he still came up with the plan, so everyone regards him as a genius. I can't wait for people to complain about that when this season's done. God, what a disappointment. What a disappointing episode. Jesus. And there's just no way that they can wrap up this season in episode 8. But you know what? We'll see. The new place is just the rock planet. The place where they had to use the map was more otherworldly. Yeah. I kind of like the design of this new place. Okay, Obi-Wan, in my opinion, is a really bad show. I didn't enjoy that at all. That would be like a 4 out of 10 or something. Maybe even less. I didn't like that. One of the many examples of reasons that I don't like that is that there was this whole episode where they're on this grass planet, and Obi-Wan is just there, and it's just like, oh wow, okay, I guess this is this was like a low budget episode. We're spending some time on a place that looks like just the outback of Australia or something, which is grass plains, and Anakin shows up in this grass planet, like in a PTSD episode, and I'm like, huh, this is really bad. But now that I see the same grass planet in Ahsoka in this new, you know, the new thing that happens at the end of episode 6 or episode season 7, the new location, I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Oh my god, why is there grass everywhere? Like, did something happen? Is this like, did this used to be like a thriving environment with like really cool architecture and stuff, but over time it's been destroyed and there's like, it's just grass that's left? Oh my god, isn't that crazy? So I kind of like it. But yeah, just in every other regard, it's been the same as everything else we've ever seen in Star Wars. It's like, did we even need to take such a long journey to get here? Like, how can we even tell? Like, if you showed this to someone who hasn't seen Ahsoka, they'd be like, oh yeah, another planet in Star Wars. Here we are. Oh my god, there's locals. They shoot at people. There were these random bandits wearing like red hoods or something. Oh my god. And now they're fighting in space. They're fighting on the planet. Crazy. How original. Very disappointing is what I would say. Anyway, I agree that I don't know how they'll finish it in one episode. Yeah, they can't. They're just gonna end it with Thrawn going to where he's trying to go, and it'll be a cliffhanger. I'm sure that'll probably be what it is. I just hope that Balin gets some resolution, because obviously we're never getting that actor again. So I hope he gets his like. I just hope next episode is entirely a Balin episode where they're talking about his like grand vision of like undoing the seat of power in the world forever. Like, I hope we just explore that a bit more, because that's obviously to me is the most interesting part about Ahsoka so far. And I was telling Miller, like, not telling, I just said at some point, but like, how are we going to in one episode figure out why the show is called Ahsoka? Like, what could she possibly do next episode that justifies this entire show being called by her name? Because so far she's done nothing worthy of being like, oh yeah, this is the Ahsoka show. I don't know. It's just dumb. I don't know. We'll see. You know what? I loved episode 6. Episode 6 was a legitimately really great episode, in my opinion. It's just such a big step down for the next one. Got anything else about Ahsoka? It looks good. You know, the visuals are pretty good. Hu Yang is great. Balin's great. I like the blonde Jedi, not Jedi girl. She's kind of cool. She turned out to be cooler than I thought. Overall, I have a positive impression of the show for sure. It's just this one episode was very disappointing. But we'll see. You never know. I could revisit this one day and be like, you know what? Actually, it was really good. All right. This might actually be the worst scene in all of Star Wars, potentially. God, this episode was really bad. There was a lot to like, right? I talked to my friend yesterday. I listed all the good things I liked about it. But it was overwhelmingly stuff I didn't like. But God, when the zombies got up for a second there, I was like, this is really interesting and cool. And then they don't pick up any weapons. They slowly charge towards the enemy. They've got nothing to threaten them with. So, and Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra, they just slowly walk away. When they could have just, just chopped their arms off or something like that. It'd solve it in 2 seconds. It felt like a Rebels moment brought to life, but in like the worst way possible. Anyway, can you explain how that old lady was so strong? I was genuinely surprised that she went even with Ahsoka. Well, in fairness, the Magistrate, which is what we knew her as in season 2 of Mandalorian, she was incredible. Like, she went toe to toe against Ahsoka even before she got the what was it, the shadow or whatever they said, like when they made her into like a Night Sister mother kind of creature thing. So she already is really good at fighting, as was demonstrated in the best fight in all of The Mandalorian in season 2, episode 4 or 6 or something. I don't know. And then you just like boost her up with some Night Sister magic and she gets even better. And I'm like, yeah, I bought that. Like that, I didn't have an issue with that at all. I thought the sword was incredibly goofy. The visual effects of anything to do with the Night Sisters looks truly terrible in live action. I don't know how they made it look so terrible because I'm every other visual effect in this thing looks great. So I don't know. It looks nothing like it looks like so oversaturated, and the green, like for instance, when the night, what do you even call it? The Marek, was that his name? When the initial like dead corpse guy died in like episode 3 or something, and the smoke that came off him was like a really, really dark shade of green, and it just doesn't look like Night Sister magic at all. Like it just looks like, and it's just like poisonous smoke or something. I don't know. Like the visual effects for all their green stuff, like when they're trying to, like for instance in this latest, like the finale episode, when they turn whatever Magistrate, whatever her name is, Morgan Elsbeth, when they turn her into like some special thing by touching her, like the hands they're like using, they just look like they're acting, and it doesn't look like they're actually applying any force to her or anything. I don't know, it was really cringe. All of those visual effects look terrible to me. I didn't hate this. What bothers me was the night troopers not being chopped in half. Oh, hell yeah. It's kind of like my thing, except I don't care about chopping in half. Just like cut their hands off or something. They can live happy lives after that. Awkward. Hover bike. No, the hover bike chase in Boba Fett takes the cake by far. Yeah, that was some interesting directing. I liked Boba Fett. I definitely liked Boba Fett more than Ahsoka. That would for sure. But yeah, there was the lows of Boba Fett are probably lower than the lows of Ahsoka. Part of me feels like if Ahsoka was an animated series instead, it would have been the most badass thing ever, but they failed to. This is really interesting. A comment section full of at least somewhat disappointment in Ahsoka. Because on the subreddit, the Star Wars subreddit, and on Twitter, all I've ever seen of this series and the final episode is complete praise for it, talking about how great it is. So it's kind of interesting seeing this like negative comment section, especially from this channel that we somehow watch a video every stream by like incidentally, where they seem to have praised it every time until now, where they're talking about how this is the darkest thing Star Wars has ever done, or like, I don't know, talk about stuff like that. Anyway, Disney built this revolutionary studio that projects background light to meld live action with CGI seamlessly. Now they just throw together a 10 Star Wars series. Who gives an F about plot? Star Wars it's still good. I like Star Wars, okay? There've been 2 misses, like 2 complete misses in my opinion. No, actually there's only been 1 complete miss in my opinion, which is Obi-Wan. That was the only miss. I didn't like that at all. That was legitimately, I think it was bad. I would give it, like on my media list, I would give it a 2, I think. Down there with Algorithms to Live By, Minions, a bunch of stuff I didn't like, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. It just didn't, it had so many issues I didn't even know what to touch on. Then there's also Ahsoka, which, it's not terrible. It's also, I wouldn't say it's good. But I did look forward to watching it every week. I'll talk about this when I get to my actual digest. That'll be a fun video to make. But other than that, like, I think I've liked all the other ones. The Mandalorian, I think, is great. The first 2 seasons are, like, really great. The 3rd season is just good. Like, it's a good, fun season. Book of Boba Fett I actually thought was pretty good. Especially the Luke episode. I thought that was really, really good. What else is there? Andor's really great. That's probably... I was going to say, it's up there with Mandalorian Season 2 as, like, my favorite Star Wars in this, like, modern era. So I think there's a lot to love. I know there's a lot of haters, which is understandable. People can be... Star Wars fatigue, I guess, is a thing that a lot of people are probably having now. There's, like, multiple camps. It's interesting. There's, like, the Dave Filoni Star Wars... Okay, there's 3 things. There's the sequel era Kathleen Kennedy Star Wars is probably how it's associated with. Then there's the Dave Filoni, like... And not just animation, but animation and live action stuff, and there's like that realm of like Star Wars. You know what? I don't even know. I think the other one would probably be Andor, I guess. Like the Andor thing is like a completely different thing. Where you can have some people who like hate two of them and love one of them. And Andor, like either you'll love Andor, you'll love the Dave Filoni things, or you love the sequels. And I don't know, it's like an interesting divide in the fandom at the moment. And it seems like they're kind of satisfying all three of them because they're going to have a post-sequel movie with Rey. They're going to have the Dave Filoni movies with, like, whatever, The Mandalorian and Ahsoka and all that. And they're going to continue doing Andor, like, seasons 2, 3, 4, whatever. So, yeah, it's interesting. What an interesting choice. But, yeah. All I've seen on Twitter is people making fun of them for fighting the zombies. Oh, I'm glad, Heath. I'm glad you got a better timeline than me, all right? Everyone just loves it on my timeline. They're like, well, it was such a... This was, like... can we all agree that Ahsoka was a 10 and the greatest thing that happened in Star Wars in the past few years? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. God, the zombies were terrible. It's a cool concept, you know? But I don't know, you need to give them more of a threat. Like if they got back up and they had their blasters, that's like a very tiny thing you have to change. And it would be, I'd understand it, because I'm like, okay, you keep shooting them, but I mean, you keep killing them, but they come back up with their blasters. Like, what are you going to do? They're going to kill you, so you better run away. But no, they just didn't even pick up their weapons. They just slowly walked towards Ahsoka and Co. using their fists as their weapons. It feels to me like NCIS for Zoomers. I got no idea. I haven't seen NCIS. But I have seen, I don't know, like Under the Dome or something. I don't know. You're saying like some procedural thing where it's like, oh yeah, same thing this week as it was last week, but, you know, slightly changed. I think I stand by the, there's like there's three domains or whatever. I love how Thrawn, talked to Ahsoka at the end, and she didn't respond or have a conversation with him. Yeah, and that was the coolest part of the episode when he's like, "Oh, looks like I win. Long live the Empire." And I'm like, "Oh my god, isn't Thrawn the coolest? Wasn't that really cool?" But yeah, true. Yeah, it's because she had nothing to say. There you go. I don't know. It was a very bad episode. I feel like I'm probably harsher on it than most people, but you know what? Heath earlier, he said that on his Twitter timeline, everyone was making fun of it, or at least that one scene with the zombies, so fair enough. Anyway. Did you cheer at the top of your lungs when Sabine used the Force? Not only did I cheer at the top of my lungs, Miller, I started crying. I was so happy for her. After all she's gone through, remember that episode with Kanan in Rebels where she was like, I'm never going to be a Jedi, and she was so sad, and she is finally realizing her goals. I didn't just cheer, I cried. All right? Anyway. We'll talk about it in the digest. I'm not joking. I cried because it was legitimately very moving. I love the 3 minute long Morgan magical girl transformation. Not unnecessary at all. True. Very true. Hey, magical girl transformations can be really good, right? There was a 4-minute one in Madoka Magica the movie, and it was the greatest scene I've ever seen in my whole life. I even talked about it in a video. But no, this was definitely not it. Them literally calling it the Blade of Talzin was so cringe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm a bit torn on that. When will they do something new instead of bringing back something from the Clone Wars? They will do that in season 2. All right? I don't know. What a disappointing series. A disappointing, uninteresting, void of any creativity. A disappointment of the opportunities that were given entering an entirely new galaxy for the first time in all of Star Wars canon. It also looked pretty bland, you know, the colors, they were not too vibrant. A complete miss when it comes to Ahsoka's character, in my opinion, at least feeling it. I mean, I can intellectualize it, but I didn't feel any of it emotionally. Anyway, I don't have a way to end these. This is when I look at the camera and I say, wait, no, first I move my mouse to the stop streaming button so I can time it up well, and I say, see you next time.